Welcome back to Lost Worlds Illustrated, where we explore the incredible creatures that once ruled our planet. From towering Ice Age mammals to fearsome prehistoric predators and bizarre extinct animals. Each episode uncovers the science, history, and fascinating facts behind Earth's long-lost giants. Join us as we travel millions of years into the past and discover the amazing world of prehistoric life. The Irish elk was one of the largest deer to have ever lived, roaming Europe and parts of Asia during the Ice Age. Despite its name, it wasn't actually an elk and wasn't found only in Ireland. Its scientific name is Megaloceros giganteus, and many of the best preserved skeletons have been discovered in Irish peat bogs, which is how it earned its common name. The Irish elk likely lived in open woodlands, grasslands, and tundra-like environments, feeding on grasses, leaves, shrubs, and other vegetation. Males probably used their giant antlers to compete for mates through displays and ritualized sparring, much like modern deer. Around 7,700 years ago, the species disappeared as the climate warmed and forests replaced open habitats, combined with changing food resources and hunting by early humans. These environmental changes likely contributed to the extinction of one of the most impressive deer ever to walk the earth. Diprotodon was the largest marsupial to have ever lived. Native to ancient Australia, this massive herbivore lived during the Pleistocene epoch and weighed as much as 3 tons. Although it looked a bit like a giant rhinoceros, it was actually more closely related to modern wombats and koalas. Standing over 6 feet tall and stretching nearly 13 feet long, Diprotodon was one of the true giants of the Ice Age. The first Diprotodon fossils were scientifically described in 1838 by Richard Owen, one of the founders of vertebrate paleontology. Fossils have since been found across much of Australia, showing that these enormous marsupials thrived in forests, woodlands, and open grasslands. Anachisma brownie was a giant amphibian that lived about 220 million years ago during the late Triassic period. Growing up to 10 feet 3 meters long, it resembled a massive salamander with a broad, flat head and powerful body. Despite its intimidating appearance, it spent most of its life in freshwater rivers, lakes, and swamps across what is now the southwestern United States. Anachisma brownie have been discovered in Triassic rock formations in states such as Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. Like other large temnospondyls, its eyes were positioned on top of its skull, allowing it to remain almost completely submerged while watching for prey. It fed on fish and smaller aquatic animals, using a rapid upward snap of its jaws to capture unsuspecting victims in the water. Heliobatis radians was an ancient freshwater stingray that lived about 50 million years ago during the Eocene epoch, measuring up to 3 feet 1 meter across. It swam through warm lakes and rivers in what is now Wyoming, USA, unlike most modern stingrays that inhabit oceans. Heliobatis spent its entire life in fresh water, gliding along the bottom in search of food. The first fossils of Heliobatis radians were described in 1877 by Edward Drinker Cope from the famous Green River Formation. These exceptionally preserved fossils reveal details of the ray's skin, fins, and even its venomous tail spine. Like modern stingrays, it likely used electroreceptors to detect prey hidden beneath mud or sand, making it an efficient hunter despite its flat body. Dunkleosteus, one of the most fearsome predators to ever swim the oceans, living around 358 to 382 million years ago during the late Devonian period. This massive armored fish could reach lengths of up to 30 feet 9 meters and weigh several tons. Instead of teeth, it had razor-sharp bony plates that formed powerful jaws capable of slicing through prey with incredible force. The first fossils of Dunkleosteus were discovered in Ohio in the late 1800s, and the species was formally named in 1956 after David Dunkel. As a member of the armored fish known as placoderms, its head and neck were protected by thick bony plates, while the rest of its body was covered in cartilage. Scientists estimate its bite force was among the strongest of any fish ever to exist, allowing it to crush armored prey and even other Dunkleosteus. Liopleurodon was one of the largest and most powerful marine reptiles of the Jurassic period, living about 160 million years ago. Although it looked like a giant sea crocodile, it was actually a Pliosaura group of short-necked marine reptiles. Most fossil evidence suggests Liopleurodon reached around 20 to 23 feet in length, though some fragmentary remains hint that a few individuals may have grown even large. As an apex predator, Liopleurodon relied on speed, strength, and stealth to ambush its prey in the warm Jurassic seas. Its 4 powerful flippers gave it excellent maneuverability, while its large eyes and keen senses helped it detect animals in the water. Unlike dinosaurs, it was a fully marine reptile that spent its entire life in the ocean, ruling the seas millions of years before the famous marine predators of the Cretaceous appeared. Diplomistus was an extinct freshwater fish that lived during the Eocene epoch, around 48 to 51 million years ago. It is one of the most famous fossil fish discovered in North America and is best known from the Green River Formation, where fossils are preserved in remarkable detail. The first scientific descriptions of Diplomistus were made during the 19th century as fossil exploration increased in the western United States. Most specimens have been discovered in what are now the states of Wyoming, Colorado, and Utah. The ancient lakes of the Green River Formation created ideal conditions for fossilization. The Diplomistus is an important fossil for scientists because it provides valuable information about freshwater ecosystems, fish evolution, predator-prey relationships, and the climate of North America during the Eocene. Shiphactanus was one of the largest predatory bony fish to have ever lived. It swam in the warm seas that covered much of North America during the late Cretaceous, about 100 to 66 million years ago. This enormous fish could grow up to 20 feet long and was built for speed. With a streamlined body, a powerful tail, and large jaws filled with long, sharp teeth. The first fossils of this prehistoric giants were discovered in the 19th century in rocks that formed when a shallow sea called the Western Interior Seaway covered the central United States. Many important specimens have been found in Kansas, where marine fossils are especially abundant. Scientists believe it was an aggressive hunter that fed on smaller fish, squid, and other marine animals. Its large mouth allowed it to capture and swallow prey with remarkable efficiency. Saviota striatus was an extinct shark that lived during the late Cretaceous period, approximately 100 to 66 million years ago, when much of North America was covered by a shallow inland sea known as the Western Interior Seaway. It belonged to an extinct group of sharks called the Anacoracide, which included several fast-swimming marine predators. Its teeth were long, narrow, and sharply pointed with fine ridges running along the crown. These teeth were well suited for grasping slippery prey rather than crushing hard-shelled animals. Scientists believe Saviota striatus primarily hunted bony fishes, although it may also have fed on small marine reptiles and squid when the opportunity arose. Although Saviota striatus is less well known than some other prehistoric sharks, it provides valuable evidence for the diversity of shark life during the Cretaceous. Each new fossil discovery helps paleontologists better understand how these ancient predators evolved. Champsosaurus gigas was one of the largest species of Champsosaurus, an extinct group of semiaquatic reptiles known as choristoderans. Despite its crocodile-like appearance, it was not a crocodile and belonged to a completely different lineage of reptiles. It lived during the late Cretaceous and into the early Paleocene, about 70 to 56 million years ago, surviving the mass extinction that wiped out the non-avian dinosaurs. Champsosaurus gigas inhabited rivers, lakes, and swamps across what is now North America. It was especially common in freshwater environments, where it spent much of its time swimming or waiting in ambush for prey. Its long, narrow snout was filled with numerous, sharp, conical teeth that were perfectly adapted for catching fish and other slippery aquatic animals. It likely also fed on amphibians and small reptiles. Arsinoitherium was a large, herbivorous mammal that lived during the late Eocene and early Oligocene epochs, approximately 36 to 30 million years ago. Although it closely resembled a rhinoceros, it was not related to modern rhinos. Instead, it belonged to an extinct order of mammals called the embrithopods, making it part of a unique branch of mammalian evolution. The first fossils of Arsinoitherium were discovered in the early 1900s in the Fayum Depression, one of the world's richest fossil sites for ancient mammals. Additional remains have since been found in other parts of North and East Africa. The genus was named in honor of Arsinoe II, a queen of ancient Egypt. The animal was a browser, feeding mainly on leaves, soft branches, and other vegetation. Its low-crowned teeth were suited for eating relatively soft plants rather than tough grasses, which had not yet become widespread in many of the environments where it lived. Today, Arsinoetherium is one of the most recognizable prehistoric mammals because of its unusual appearance. It demonstrates that mammals evolved into many remarkable forms after the extinction of the dinosaurs. Chalicotherium was an unusual herbivorous mammal that lived during the Miocene and Pliocene epochs, approximately 17 to 4 million years ago. Although it was a distant relative of modern horses, rhinoceroses, and tapirs, it looked unlike any living hoofed mammal. Instead of hooves on its front feet, it had long, curved claws that gave it a gorilla-like appearance. Today, Chalicotherium is regarded as one of the strangest hoofed mammals ever to evolve. Its combination of horse-like ancestry, ape-like posture, and giant claws illustrates the extraordinary diversity of prehistoric mammals and shows how evolution can produce highly specialized animals adapted to life in forest environments. Fossils of Chalicotherium have been discovered across Europe, Asia, and Africa. The first remains were described during the 19th century, and many well-preserved skeletons have since helped paleontologists understand how this remarkable mammal lived. The name Chalicotherium means pebble beast, referring to the unusual shape of its teeth, which early scientists thought resembled small stones. Androsarchus mongoliensis was one of the largest land-dwelling predatory mammals ever discovered. It lived during the Middle Eocene epoch, about 45 million years ago, in what is now Inner Mongolia, China. Despite its wolf-like appearance in many artistic reconstructions, it was not closely related to wolves or other carnivorans. Instead, most modern studies place it among the artiodactyls, making it a distant relative of animals such as pigs, hippos, whales, and deer. During the Eocene, it lived in warm environments that included forests, floodplains, and coastal regions. It shared its habitat with primitive horses, early rhinoceroses, large flightless birds, crocodilians, and numerous other ancient mammals. One of the most fascinating aspects of Androsarchus is how mysterious it remains. Since only the skull has been found, nearly every reconstruction of its appearance is partly speculative, as paleontologists continue to debate its exact relationships, body shape, and hunting behavior, making it one of the most intriguing mammals in the fossil record. Vasuki indicus was a giant prehistoric snake that lived during the Middle Eocene epoch, approximately 47 million years ago, in what is now Western India. It is one of the largest snakes ever discovered and belongs to the extinct family Madzoidae, a group of snakes that flourished for millions of years before eventually disappearing. The species was described in 2024 after paleontologists studied 27 fossil vertebrae discovered in the Kutch Basin. The fossils were found in rocks of the Penandro lignite mine, which preserve an ancient tropical environment that once supported a rich diversity of plants and animals. Today, Vasuki indicus is regarded as one of the largest snakes ever discovered. Along with Titanoboa, it helps scientists understand how prehistoric snakes evolved to extraordinary sizes and dominated tropical ecosystems, millions of years after the extinction of the non-avian dinosaurs. Sarcosochos imperator was one of the largest crocodile-like reptiles ever to live. It inhabited rivers and lakes across what is now North Africa during the early Cretaceous period, about 133 to 112 million years ago. Although it resembled modern crocodiles, it was not a true crocodile, but a giant member of an extinct group of crocodiliforms known as Phylletosaurids. Sarcosuchus was a powerful ambush predator. It likely spent much of its time submerged, waiting for fish, turtles, and other aquatic animals to approach before striking with tremendous force. Large adults may also have captured dinosaurs that came to the water's edge to drink, although fish probably made up a large part of its diet. Today, Sarcosuchus imperator is one of the best-known giant prehistoric crocodiliforms. Its immense size, heavily armored body, and powerful jaws make it an iconic example of the enormous reptiles that flourished during the age of dinosaurs. The extinct American cheetah, scientifically known as Myricinanex, was first identified from fossil remains discovered across North America, including sites in California, Nevada, Arizona, and Florida. These fossils date from the Pleistocene epoch, between about 2.6 million and 12,000 years ago. In the wild, this species thrives in habitats that match its natural adaptations. Depending on where it's found, it may live in deserts, forests, grasslands, or rocky terrain, spending daylight hours sheltered beneath logs, stones, or inside burrows. This remarkable species was first recognized and scientifically described by researchers studying the incredible diversity of invertebrates in its native range. Since its discovery, scientists have continued learning about its biology, behavior, and ecological role. Every new study helps us better understand how these often overlooked animals contribute to the balance of their ecosystems and why conserving their habitats is so important. Rather than relying on speed alone, it often uses patience and stealth, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. These fascinating behaviors have helped it survive in some of the world's harshest environments. Desmatocycus lived about 230 million years ago during the late Triassic period. It inhabited warm, seasonal floodplains, river valleys, and forests across what is now the southern United States. These lush landscapes were also home to early dinosaurs, giant amphibians, crocodile relatives, and other strange reptiles that competed for survival. One of its most striking features was its impressive body armor. Rows of thick, bony plates called osteoderms covered its back and tail, while a pair of enormous curved shoulder spikes made it appear even larger to potential predators. Growing up to 16 feet 5 meters long, this heavily armored reptile relied on defense rather than speed, making it one of the best protected herbivores of the late Triassic. The first Smilodon fossils were discovered in the mid-1800s from the famous Rancho La Brea tar pits in California. These naturally preserved asphalt deposits trapped thousands of animals over time, giving paleontologists an incredibly detailed look at Ice Age ecosystems. Smilodon quickly became one of the most iconic prehistoric predators ever uncovered. Smilodon fatalis lived during the Pleistocene epoch, roaming across North and South America in environments ranging from open grasslands to wooded savannas. It shared its world with massive Ice Age animals like bison, ground sloths, and mammoths, often hunting near water sources where prey would gather. Smilodon fatalis wasn't a fast, long-distance chaser like modern big cats. Instead, it was an ambush predator, relying on explosive bursts of power from close range. Using its incredibly strong forelimbs, it likely wrestled large prey to the ground before delivering a precise bite with its oversized canine teeth. This hunting style made it one of the most specialized predators of the Ice Age. Its saber-like teeth were surprisingly fragile for cutting bone, so they were likely used for delivering precise, controlled throat or soft tissue bites once prey was immobilized. Combined with a wide gape and reinforced neck muscles, Smilodon was a highly specialized predator built for strength, not speed. Over the last 5,000 years, Earth hasn't just been shaped by natural climate shifts. It's also seen a dramatic wave of extinctions closely tied to the rise of human civilization. This period includes some of the most well-known lost animals, from massive flightless birds and island giants to unique mammals that vanished just within recorded history. As humans expanded across continents and islands, hunting pressure, habitat loss, and introduced species began to reshape ecosystems at an unprecedented speed. Animals that had survived ice ages and natural climate swings suddenly found themselves unable to adapt fast enough to these new changes. The dodo was a large, flightless bird that spent nearly its entire life on the ground. Despite its clumsy reputation, the dodo was likely a calm and intelligent animal. It walked through forests, searching for fallen fruit, seeds, nuts, roots, and possibly small crabs or insects. With no natural predators on its island home, the dodo had little reason to fear other animals, making it remarkably tame. The dodo lived exclusively on the island of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean. Millions of years of isolation allowed the species to evolve without mammalian predators. Dense tropical forests, coastal plains, and freshwater streams provided everything the bird needed to thrive. Because food was plentiful year-round, the dodo adapted to a relaxed lifestyle, eventually losing the ability to fly as powerful wings became unnecessary. One of the most tragic aspects of the dodo's story is that it had evolved for millions of years without predators. Because of that, dodos never developed a fear of large animals. When humans first arrived on Mauritius, the birds often stood their ground or even approached people out of curiosity instead of fleeing. Sailors and settlers quickly realized how easy they were to catch, sometimes simply walking up and grabbing them. Greater threat came from introduced animals such as rats, pigs, monkeys, dogs, and cats. These invasive species raided dodo nests, eating eggs and chicks that had evolved without defenses against predators. Combined with habitat destruction, the population rapidly collapsed. By around 1681, the dodo was extinct, becoming one of history's most famous examples of human-driven extinction and a lasting symbol of the importance of conservation. The Atlas bear was a North African subspecies of brown bear and the only bear known to have lived on the African continent in historic times. It likely had a more compact build compared to many modern brown bears, adapted to warmer, drier climates. While not dramatically different in appearance from other brown bears, it represented a unique evolutionary branch isolated in North Africa's mountain systems. This bear inhabited the Atlas Mountains region of Morocco and nearby areas, where ecosystems ranged from cedar and oak forests to rocky slopes and Mediterranean scrublands. The environment provided seasonal food sources such as fruits, roots, nuts, insects, and occasional small animals or carrion. Unlike colder climate bears, it lived in a more arid, fragmented landscape, which likely influenced its smaller range in more localized populations. The extinction of the Atlas bear is believed to have occurred in the 1800s. The main drivers were human-related: habitat destruction from agriculture and deforestation, combined with hunting pressure from expanding populations and historical persecution going back to Roman times. As its range became increasingly fragmented, populations declined until the species vanished completely. Its loss marked the disappearance of bears from North Africa's ecosystems. Today, we only know these creatures through fossils, bones and traces left behind in stone, but they still tell a powerful story. Life on Earth is constantly changing, adapting, and sometimes disappearing forever. And if there's one takeaway from exploring hundreds of millions of years of prehistoric life to the last 5,000 years of extinctions, it's this: Earth's history is far bigger than us, but we are now part of the story shaping its future. What makes all of these animals so remarkable isn't just how different they were from what we see today, but how perfectly they fit into their own time. Every extinction, whether caused by climate shifts, natural disasters, or human expansion, marks the end of one chapter, but also the beginning of another. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the prehistoric world, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new fossil, dinosaur, or ancient animal feature. Let me know in the comments which prehistoric creature you'd like to learn about next. Until next time, keep exploring the incredible history of life on Earth.